and the 1-2. Drill deep to left field. There it goes! See ya! Up for grabs! There's his walk-off home run, and the Yankees have come back to win it. 6-5. Oh, man, what a blast by Judge.
Now Barkley up the middle, cuts to the outside. Saquon Barkley across midfield, down the sideline, stayed in bounds, and Barkley takes it all the way. 68 yards.
Turner drives one to center, chasing Nimmo back to the warning track right at the fence. He made the catch! Oh, whoa! The catch of the year from Brandon Nimmo! He took a home run away from Justin Turner!
On the move. A lot of time. Directing traffic. Gonna go deep. Has a man deep. It is caught for the touchdown. Corey Davis.
This is WHPC Sports Talk on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.
On a beautiful Monday afternoon, some call it Monday morning quarterback, some call it overreaction Monday. Nonetheless, it is WHPC Sports Talk here to recap it all for you. Week 11 in the NFL. Had some games yesterday, wraps up tonight.
Yeah.
And if you're a New York football fan,
not a good day.
It was not a good day.
Well, for a Jets fan, I agree.
Especially if you're a Jets fan, then that's where we'll start.
Yeah.
Obviously, the Giants took a tough loss yesterday as well. Yeah. I mean, I'm an out-of-state football fan. Y'all know this. Joshua Umahi today is your host. My Saints won. Eric Williams over there is I can't just say the Cowboys got it done, Eric.
No.
Yeah, what would you...
They overachieved.
What would you call that game? Yeah.
They definitely overachieved. I had two things. I mean, I could have either came in here like Michael Irvin or I could have been humble. I'm going to take the humble approach. It's too much to act like Michael Irvin right now.
It's always too much to act like Michael Irvin. I think we can say that for sure. But two Giants fans in the room. The two Giants fans in the room.
Yes.
Franz Compere, we'll start with you. How are you doing?
I'm doing terrible.
Yeah, it's about what I expected.
Yeah. It was just atrocious. Saquon couldn't get started at all. There was at one point in the game, it was like a questionable third down call, like 3rd and 5, and we run into Saquon. And then, obviously, we have to rely on a pass to get the first down. It was just like, it wasn't good. Nothing was good. We couldn't stop the Lions' offense. They were just trampling us down the field, and I was sad. I was flipping back and forth between the Jets game, hoping I could see something in the Jets that would make me excited, but that was pretty sad too.
Yeah, you weren't seeing nothing in the Jets game.
No.
There were. We'll go through the stats in a little bit, but I don't know how. First off, that's the worst game of offense as like a collective I've seen.
Literally.
I can't just dump it on the Jets, but we will get to them in a little bit. But before I do that, Ross Levine, the other Giants fan in the room.
I'm doing all right. This is kind of expected. This is expected. Maybe not this 31-18, but in terms of the season, look, regardless of what happens down the stretch of the season, this was a success. Nobody expected us to be where we are.
Damn, you're talking like it's already over.
Oh, it's over.
It's over?
Oh,
What?
it's absolutely over. 1,000% it's over.
You're a 7-3 football team.
It's still over. Look at the injuries we just suffered the entire game. 6 injuries. And a lot of them are like to key positions, and they're going to be out for a while. I don't know how you can say it's not over.
You're not wrong there on that front. The Giants, they suffered 2 or 3.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Yeah, thanks a lot, Lions. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Lions, and thanks a lot, MetLife Turf. And
well, at least they're changing that next year.
Maybe a year too late if you're a Giants fan. But Giants fans, I promise we will get to your team and what happened against the Detroit Lions a little later on. But we got to start with the Jets. 516-572-7440. That's the number to call. Jets fans, we're starting with you, all right? We all know what happened. It's been the talk of the town today. You lose a heartbreaking game at the buzzer to the Patriots in Foxborough. Can we remember the last time the Jets beat the Patriots? It's been a while.
It was that overtime win against the Patriots. Eric Decker with a touchdown. and I was 16 years old, I think, at that time. So that's all you need to know.
That's something like 13, 14 straight wins against one
Once you
opponent.
said Eric Decker, I already know.
Eric Decker.
Like,
Blast from the past for real.
Yeah, Brandon Marshall, Eric Decker, Ryan Fitzpatrick. I mean, maybe they got to bring back Ryan Fitzpatrick for one game, and that's to beat the Patriots.
I saw on my Twitter timeline yesterday, somebody tweeted it. There was the Jets' 26th straight game versus New England where they didn't win in regulation. Now, the win you just referenced, Ross, was in overtime. They had another win in overtime. I think it might have been in the playoffs or something else.
That was the playoffs,
yeah,
I think.
But 26 straight times against Bill Belichick, you don't win in regulation. I mean, that's some big ownership right there. And let's start with how it sounded at the end yesterday for the Jets.
From the 16-yard line, Marcus Jones. Got a block from Spooler. Here he goes. He's going to try to beat the punter. He does. He's gone. And that is a touchdown. Are you kidding me, Kevin? The way this game is gone, and that's how this thing's going to finish? It is the first punt return touchdown in the NFL this season.
So not only was the offense trash, and we'll get to that in a second, you punt right to, usually in that situation, obviously you guys are Giants fans, Ross and France. Mm-hmm. You know that game, that infamous Miracle in the Meadowlands Part 2 in 2010. Mm-hmm. Yeah. If it's that little time, why are you punting right to the punt returner? I don't understand the thought process.
Bad punt. It was not a good punt. Now, again, somebody's got to make a tackle there for sure. You can't allow a guy to go 83 yards, whatever it was, for a touchdown there. But to me, it should never came down to that. There actually was a couple of illegal blocks to the back there that potentially could have been called. Yeah,
people were arguing about that, but honestly, like,
it should never came down to that, though.
Yeah. Right?
He's 5 yards away. I could see like why the refs didn't call it. Like, but at the same time, if we want to be technical, there should have been a flag on the play.
But like, say, I thought it was like too bang the call. Plus, I don't like the idea of refs like deciding the game in that situation. But even if they do call that, right, it's going to be still a Patriots field goal attempt. Now it was windy in the Patriots stadium, but still, I think it's a very high chance the Patriots win that game. So I guess we're splitting hairs here. And speaking of wind and blame or whatever else, so Zach Wilson, we have to get to Zach Wilson today.
Disgusted.
Oh boy.
So he had not only did he play like trash. Let me read the stats off. Zach Wilson. 9 for 22, 77 yards. Let me just do some quick math to see the yards per attempt. The yards per attempt for Zach Wilson. That's 3.5 yards per attempt.
Oh boy.
A 50.8 rating. To compare, Mac Jones was 23-27, 246, 104.6. So consider those numbers and then listen to this Zach Wilson quote.
I think you got to put into account it's windy as hell out there too, guys. There's times where you can't just completely try and take these shots down the field. I mean, you can see how much it's moving out there.
I just read off Mac Jones stats. Like,
only Zach Wilson, only the Jets can make that an excuse.
I think he has a problem with accountability.
Yeah,
because when the reporter asked him about, do you think offense, let the defense down? His answer out the gate was no. Like, how could you say you didn't let offense down? You guys average like 2.7 inches of offense. Like, that's disgusting. As an offense, you can't even move the ball a complete yard. You're moving inches.
That's a crazy...
And the defense is out there balling. Like, I'm talking 3rd and 7s. They're coming up with the ball for you guys, and this is how you repay them.
France, that's a great point. You talk about... I saw just browsing through social media yesterday. So they had a few Jets players on defense. They had John Franklin Myers, like a tweet criticizing Zach Wilson. They had Sauce Gardner, like a tweet. Elijah Vera Tucker. Like, the Jets players, like, they know for a fact, not just them, everybody to watch that game or hear about that game knows it was all on Zach Wilson.
Yeah.
If your defense holds a team to 3
you gotta
points,
win.
You have to win that game.
You gotta win.
Especially if it's against Bill Belichick. You haven't beaten him in how many tries? Like 12, 13, 14, however it is. You gotta win that game.
You gotta. It's funny because when they show this on the post game at the end on SNY, because they always have the post game right after the game. And usually they always show the players going, heading into the locker room after a loss or after a win. they were showing all the defensive players. Like the camera was literally all on the defensive players, and they were pissed not at themselves. They were pissed off at the offense not giving them any support. Yeah. And I mean, they didn't do this. I really thought one of them was going to break their helmet. I mean, they didn't do that, but I could see why they're annoyed. They had no help. You give up 3 points on defense, which is in the NFL now. That's pretty good. And your offense does little to nothing, if anything at all. And it's insane how poor Zach Wilson was. And honestly, I think his press conference was probably worse, which is hard to do after that horrible game he played. So, I mean, I'm sorry, you gotta bench him. I know that's ridiculous to some people because he's still a second-year quarterback, but you have to bench him. Like the way this team is, like you can. How could you tell your team that Zach Wilson's your starter? How can you after that? You can't.
I don't disagree with you. I think like 99% of Jets fans today wouldn't disagree with you, but it's at the end of the day, it's not even Robert Saleh's call. I think if it was Robert Saleh's call, he would go to Mike White or Joe Flacco.
He said he didn't think about even changing the quarterback.
Well, but you got to understand, like at the end of the day, this is still like the guy they took second overall.
Yeah, of course.
Like, you can't bench that guy. And again, it should be based on the play on the field. But that's obviously the big factor here is the elephant in the room. Like they can't bench the guy that they drafted second overall and quit on him this early.
Okay, but the Dolphins, they benched Tua a couple of times. Look how good Tua is. So I'm just wrong. I mean, you can't if you don't have the mental aspect of playing in the NFL, you can't handle being benched a few times. Then you were never good anyway. So to me, why don't you get benched, take out of the game, put White in, whatever. I don't know how good he'll be, but put Mike White in the game. And if he's not good, okay, you go back to Zach Wilson, but give it a shot. Like, especially in that game, you need something. You need something. Like you put White in there, not Flacco. I can understand not Flacco.
That's a great point. That's a great point. Because when you think about last time they played the Patriots, in control of the game, Zach starts out the game doing his thing, but then immediately, like after halftime, it's like he flipped the switch and said, okay, I want to just play bad now. And then like they let that game slip away. So this is like the second time against the Patriots that they're letting a game slip away. And this was way worse than the first.
And that's hard to believe because we all remember that first game against the Patriots wasn't that long ago. It was like 3 weeks ago. Exactly. And we saw it was another, to your point, Franz, another extremely winnable game. And you lost because of Zach Wilson. Mm-hmm. Now, he had the little cute game versus Buffalo. Like, he didn't play that well either, but he didn't lose them the game.
He did what they need him to do.
Exactly. But if you draft the guy second overall,
you want more.
You want a lot more. And you brought up Franz earlier that Zach Wilson quote. If somehow you're a Jets fan and you haven't heard this, you might want to cover your ears, but here it is.
As an offense, though, I mean, when you guys are only able to score 3 points, the defense only lets up 3 points. I mean, do you feel like you let the defense down at all?
No. I didn't let the defense down. How do you, like, in your right mind, how do you even let that come out your mouth?
And with the quickness, too. You got some nerve. Yeah. That was a quick response.
I don't, like, it's... And this is the thing with... I've said this about guys like Julius Randle and Garrett Cole in baseball for the Yankees. If you're going to, suck on the field or the court, that's one thing. But if you're going to go in front of the media and be like... what was the Julius Randle thing? Oh, I was booing the fan. That's why I did the thumbs down. Like... What's not clicking? Like you're not playing well and you think you're going to test the New York media. It's not going to end well for you. And if Zach Wilson thinks this is going to end well for him, like if he thought in his heart of hearts this was the right thing to do, like not only do the fans like hate you right now, like we just talked about the players in the locker room. And I just did see a tweet from John Franklin Myers. We brought him up. So he liked a tweet criticizing Zach Wilson. He says now, Jets Twitter, I ain't mean to like that tweet. We got faith in Zach for sure. Y'all stop looking for problems. We got 7 games left to ball. Well, that you can say that now, but like we saw your raw emotions right after the game. So I don't know who you're trying to fool, John Franklin Myers, but it's a sad thing because you look at the Jets roster, they're ready to win now.
Yeah.
And nobody expected it. Nobody saw it coming. I know we're about to talk about the Giants soon, but the Jets have more win now than the Giants. Nobody saw that coming.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, the Jets have a better defense. They definitely, you could say their offensive line, and you can make an argument, are neck and neck. I mean, the injuries definitely play a factor in that, but the receiving corps for the Jets are better. Mm-hmm. their defense, their defensive line. Like it just the Jets are a win now team, and their quarterback is holding them back.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to say. I mean, you can make every excuse in the book for Zach Wilson, but I'm sorry, there is no excuse for putting up 3 points when every team, by the way, has no problem. By the way, against the Patriots, which Justin Fields. Why was Justin Fields be able to move the ball against the New England Patriots in that building? Justin Fields has seemed like he had no problem doing that. So if Fields could do it, when, by the way, before that, everybody's like, Fields is a bust. So, and he was able to figure it out. So why can't Zach Wilson, the second overall pick, be able to figure out, with, by the way, more weapons than the Chicago Bears do, actually, by the way. I mean, at the time,
without
at
question.
least. Yeah.
No, still, without question. That's a great point, Ross, because you just brought up Justin Fields, and I tweeted this yesterday. I don't understand how, Justin Fields, we talk about Trevor Lawrence, and he was like a generational talent out of college. Mm-hmm. Justin Fields was a decorated quarterback for multiple years in Ohio State. So I'm trying to think back and remember, why Zach Wilson, how did he rise up to number 2? He was in BYU. Yeah, he had 33 touchdowns, 3 picks. He had a good junior year there, but Justin Fields is right there. Yeah. So I didn't understand it then, and then I know Justin Fields struggled last year, but if you're looking at it now, that's a big-time mistake for the New York Jets, and we see how Justin Fields is doing. I think if he has a passing touchdown, rushing touchdown in how many games now? 5 straight games? That.
I wouldn't even be able to tell you.
It looks crazy right now for the New York Jets, but we do have a caller, first caller of the day on WHPC Sports Talk. Caller, who are you? What do you want to talk about?
Hello, everybody. It is Corey.
I didn't expect you to call.
Yeah, I didn't expect me to call neither.
What you want to talk about, Corey? What's up?
But I felt as though if I could rag on the Dallas Cowboys, I could at least come when my team loses.
All right. I guess that's respectable.
Look, we play like trash. I can't lie.
Mm-hmm.
The defense didn't step up as much as I wanted to, and you had Saquon didn't necessarily go off. Our receiving core really showed that we don't have anything. So especially with Odell Beckham being that he's looking at the Dallas Cowboys and possibly the New York Giants, we really need Odell.
Well, I got some news for you, Corey. You're not getting Odell anymore. You're not, because I think if you're Odell Beckham, and we saw him tweeting after the Cowboys game, the 40-3 beatdown that they gave the Vikings, he was like, they went crazy. And you see, what was it?
Look, he was talking about the Bills the same way. Stop it. We got a shot.
You have a shot, yeah, but you have a lot less of a shot than you did before yesterday.
What?
Look, he said he want me. Look, we offer 2 things that he wants: being the main target and a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
We have no money. What money do we have?
We're gonna make it work.
The Giants are not in that position to give him a lot of money right now.
Maybe next year we have money.
That would be very stupid of Joe Shane to give him a lot of money.
We don't have anybody.
But this is not the right move for you.
It's not. It's not.
It's not the right move for Odell.
Joe Shane knows that.
You're right. Yeah. Nope. It's not. It's not the right move.
Now, for a team like the Cowboys to put us over the top, yeah, this is the right move for them. He knows that. Cowboys know it. Everything's going to clash.
I don't see him going.
So, Corey, let me just ask you a 2-part question. So, what are the chances you give the Giants to win Thursday in Dallas, considering you just lost to Detroit and all the injuries you have now? What percentage are you giving the Giants to win that game?
22.
So it's not real high, right? So I say the Cowboys go in and it's a short week. The Cowboys are a lot healthier. They pretty much had a bye week this week.
Yeah.
So if they go in Thursday and stomp out the Giants, like I expect will happen, how if you're Odell, how do you then choose the Giants over the Cowboys considering the last 2 games? I don't see it happening.
You never know. I feel like we have the advantage because if he comes in and gives us a visit, that'll be a second visit of the season.
So what?
It's almost like it's recruiting. We're going to see who's going to get the bigger recruit.
I'm sorry, Corey. You know, I'm a Giants fan myself, but the delusion. It's the delusion. You know, and when Odell did come take his first visit, Joe Sheen did state, like, if Odell's willing to come back at the right price, they're willing to bring him in. But, you know, it's not looking like that. You know, being that we have no money, Wan'Dale just went out on an ACL tear due to the turf.
All in all, look, I feel as though the season is still long. We still have a shot at making the playoffs. Right now, I'm not looking at my team as worse as I'm looking at the Jets right now. They have a whole little problem at QB right now.
You're right about that, Corey, but if you're the Giants, you got a lot of problems everywhere else.
The Giants have much more holes than the Jets.
Yeah, but at least our team ain't tweeting a quarterback.
You're not wrong about that. I mean, it looks bad for Zach Wilson, but that's one guy.
Like, quote tweeting Josh Allen, all this other stuff. Nah, yeah. Our situation is much calmer right now.
Is it?
Yeah.
No, it's not.
I don't think
it's up for debate. But, Corey, you got any last thoughts?
Not really. New York just down bad right now.
Yeah, it's. Thank you for the call, bro.
Better see you here on Friday.
Yeah, I'm going to be coming in with a Giants jersey.
Don't do that.
I am going to do that. Because we're going to win on Thursday.
Okay. Oh, okay. We'll see. You're definitely confident, Corey.
Hang on.
Thank you. Thank you for the call. Yeah, I guess it's a good time to announce we're going to have a 2-hour show on Friday. So for the Giants fans in the room and on the show...
Yo,
it's gonna be 2 hours of
y'all gonna really give me 2 hours just go at the Giants the whole time? I don't want to have to do it, but it's looking like that. Corey in the room.
I might have to pull an Antonio Brown, make an early exit. Just come through for a little bit, get up out of here, because I'm gonna be crying.
It's not looking good, and we brought up the injuries for the Giants. So here's what they have in total. For a 7-3 team, but you lose Adoree Jackson, Fabian Moreau, Adoree Jackson for 4 to 6 weeks. Fabian Moreau has a rib injury. John Feliciano, the center, has a knee injury. Wan'Dale Robinson is out for the season with a torn ACL, and you're already without Ojulari. You're without Evan Neal, and you're without Xavier McKinney for the time being with that weird ATV injury. So, like Eric said, there's a lot of holes. We'll see what happens on Thursday. Corey's definitely been the optimistic Giants fan all season long, but it looks really shaky right now. It looks really shaky. Yeah.
I mean, it's not... Again, I always go back to the fact that this is a rebuilding team. This is a team that's in transition. This is the first year of the rebuild. Nobody expected us to be where we are. Nobody expects us to make the playoffs this year. If that does happen, if we don't make the playoffs, I've still seen enough to just see that we do have a bright future ahead. We've done enough. Like, even if we suck the rest of the way, I already see like what I want to get out of this season pretty much. I want to know if we have the coach. We do. We have the coach. That's big. I do like our tackles, Andrew Thomas, and unfortunately Neal's hurt, but I do think Neal's going to be a really good part of the future. And we'll have more money down the road. You know, now we didn't have any money this offseason. That's why we had to cut guys like Bradbury. Just bad financials. And look, Joe Shane knew that when he took the job. He knew he didn't have a lot of money. He knew that going in. And look, there's a lot of good signs. I mean, and they're going to have the draft picks to be able to improve it. So, yeah, we might lose the rest of our games. I don't think we will, but if we do, it's not the end of the world. This was due to happen.
Well, okay, so let me start on the Giants front on this. So here's how it sounded yesterday with, I think I'll call this the death blow in MetLife yesterday.
Look how many guys they have on the right side of their offensive line. They got 5 guys to the right.
Give it to Williams, looking for his third of the day, and he's got it for the touchdown. 3 for Jamal Williams and a league-leading 12 on the year.
Jamal Williams leading the league with 12 touchdowns is random as hell, but...
Josh, I'm glad that you played that. I could tell you what I did in that exact moment. I smacked my knee, looked right at my mom. I know you're listening to this, Mom. I said, this game is over. I was heated, and I flipped the channel back to the Jets game. That was the blow. That was the blow that took me off the Giants game. I was just sick of it. I was done.
That made it, I believe, 24-6. DeAndre Swift also added a touchdown to make it. The Giants tacked on some points late, but it was
nothing. Gave
the Lions 31 points. They wind up winning 31-18. And yeah, I mean, Ross, you brought up the schedule. So here's what we're looking at for the New York Giants. So we brought up the Thanksgiving game. That's in 3 days.
Nope. Yep.
The Commanders, who all of a sudden are 6-5, and we just talked about on the show last week, the Commanders might be more talented. Not even might. I think the Commanders are more talented than the New York Giants.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I would say so, especially that receiver group. Fire.
Yeah. Now the Giants are better coached, but the talent is there. McLaurin. You have Antonio Gibson, Brian Robinson. You have Curtis Samuel now, Taylor Heineke, who
Dotson
doing his best, Jahan Dotson. And Heineke doing his best Jimmy G impression in terms of I'm not gonna win y'all the game, but I'm not gonna lose it either. So
yeah, I think at best against the Commanders probably a split. I think that's kind of fair. We might get swept. It wouldn't surprise me either. It really wouldn't. I really think we're done. I think the Giants are done in terms of this season. I don't see a lot of wins, and I don't think we're very healthy to get the wins. Yeah. So, look, it's unfortunate with the injuries. I mean, Robinson had a very good game. He gets hurt. Thanks a lot, Lions. Adoree Jackson gets hurt. Thanks a lot, Lions. It just, again, this team has very much overachieved. And again, even, look, Dable's a very good coach, but even Dable, it's very hard to create a really good offense when you don't have anybody to throw the ball to. I mean, and this isn't so much him not trusting Jones. I mean, Jones threw the ball 44 times. So they did have faith in the guy. It just he has no weapons. And look, this is not even this regime's fault, by the way, but this is why you don't draft a running back second overall. Because it's funny because what the coach of Dan Campbell of the Lions, so he said this after the game about stopping Barkley, and that was the big key. Well, when he said that, that's basically saying you do not draft a running back second overall because that's easy to game plan for. All you're putting is 10 guys in the box to stop and making the receivers beat you. And unfortunately, we don't have that answer to beat their 12 men in the box because guess what? We don't have any wide receivers. So, whoever beats us, Cowboys, Commanders, Vikings, Colts, whatever, congratulations. You beat a practice squad team. Thanks a lot.
You made a lot of great points there, Ross, but just to finish reading off the Giants' schedule, so Cowboys, Commanders, you host them on December 4th. Then you host the Eagles, go to Washington to play the Commanders. Yeah. We go to Minnesota to play the Vikings. You host Jeff Saturday's Colts, who are playing a lot better. And then last game of the year, you host, or you go to Philadelphia to play the Eagles. So they're 7-3 right now. I'm honestly struggling to see 2 more wins.
Yeah, I see 2 wins tops, and that's being kind. I mean, I could see them splitting with the Commanders because you never know what could happen with divisional games. And usually not last year, but usually we win at least a game against the Commanders. And the other one I could maybe see, and that's, again, circumstance have to factor in. If the Eagles were to rest their starters, I could see them maybe winning that game. But that's if they're resting their starters. I mean, if the Eagles have everything clinched by that point, they probably will rest their starters. But if they don't, that's probably a loss. I mean, because I don't think we're beating the Eagles. The only thing we can do is run on them. The Eagles do give up running yards, but I'm sure they'll have the same game plan of stopping Barkley, so I guess that doesn't matter.
Ross, and another point you brought up, another great point was that this season, I know Giants fans like Corey and some others that I know, they're looking at a 7-3 team, and you're like, all right, we got to go make the playoffs now. But this season's already a success.
Yeah.
Let's really seriously think about this. You have the coach, you know that. You have the GM who has all this money to spend next year. Whether you get Odell or not, it's not looking likely. But again, you have a lot of options with a lot of money. You have Saquon Barkley. You might sign into an extension. I hate to talk about, they shouldn't have picked him second overall because that was 4 years ago.
And that's not this regime's pick.
And he's he's their captain.
Yeah, I think they'll give him a contract. They seem to like him. Yeah. Jones, I don't know. It's funny because So Shane was on a radio with Tiki and Tierney, so that he was discussing about contracts during the bye week about Barkley and Jones. He was very committed to Barkley about giving him a contract, if not now in the offseason. With Jones, it was more like week-to-week process. So I don't know so he's not as committed towards Jones as a lot of people think he is. And I mean, even Dable at the end of in the press conference yesterday on those couple of the interceptions, he was basically saying like he didn't see the Aiden Hutchinson on the first one. It doesn't seem like he backs his quarterback. Like, I don't know, maybe that's just me.
Well, he's not his guy.
It's not his guy. So that's maybe that's just tough love, but I don't know. He's been good this year, or at least okay, and I guess he's hard on quarterbacks. I don't know. I mean, but it's not on just him. They need a lot of receivers, linebackers, corners. I mean, the list goes on and on. They need a lot of help if they want to. If this team wants to actually be a Super Bowl contender, like a lot of people want them to be, they have a lot of holes. They have a long way to go before they are even considering that, unfortunately. But thanks a lot, Gettleman.
Yeah, it sucks this year. A lot of the Giants, they're still paying for the sins of Dave Gettleman with this team, but it'll look a lot better next year. Look, it's already a success in my opinion.
Oh, of course.
But we'll see what this caller has to say. Caller, you are on WHPC Sports Talk. What's going on? What you want to talk about?
Good evening. It's Antonio right now, a fellow Giants fan coming at you. Just want to say I really hope they're not coming to Daniel Jones whatsoever. I can't stand a year of him. Not a day more, a week more. I don't need any more of him. So my question is, heading into the draft, where's our head at? Because obviously we're not going to draft round one quarterback at this point. I doubt it. But who are we looking for? Maybe a free agent. Maybe we start Tyrod Taylor a few games now. I don't really know. Obviously not that, because we still are in contention somehow, even though this beasted out NFC East all of a sudden. But seriously, what's the future for Daniel Jones?
You know what's funny? You brought up Tyrod Taylor, and if you remember back to the offseason, he was supposed to be the bridge quarterback if Daniel Jones flamed out. So I think their plan was always to draft a quarterback in this coming draft. But they've won so many games now, I don't think they can just sit where they're going to be positioned and draft one. I mean, you have teams like the Texans who have 2 picks. They're probably going to be 2 top 10 picks with the Browns struggling. Yeah. You have the Lions who have the Rams pick who are also struggling.
I don't see us drafting a quarterback, if anything. We'll draft probably an okay quarterback, a guy that nobody really sees coming for the Giants, but I'd be using it on receiving core. Like what rookie's going to be good with this team? I mean, honestly, who? I mean,
I disagree. You look at Bryce Young. Yeah, you look at
with this receiving core.
That's just setting him up for failure.
Yeah,
it's gonna be like DJ all over.
Yeah, well, I think
that's a disaster waiting to happen.
The best thing for y'all to do right now is to you sign back Daniel Jones for at least 1 year. Just give him one more year. But you can also draft Hendon Hooker in the later rounds. You can draft him in the second, third round. He's gonna be out for the year. You know that already. So you can play Daniel Jones, get whatever you get out of him, let him go, and then the year after that you play Hendon Hooker. And then you may have some pieces.
It's scary though with Hendon, injuries.
I mean,
it's been a thing.
It's exciting. I mean, you see what's going on with the Panthers. Matt Corral's injured the whole season, so they can't really even test him out if they wanted to. So I really do see the Giants doing that with Hooker, like Eric's saying. However, at this point, the general manager office is looking bright. The future is much better now, judging on how the picks we hit, the acquisitions we got. So I'm excited for that, but I just still fear these Giants. I'm just scared that they won't make the right moves. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's a chance, and everything Eric said about Hendon Hooker is right. Like, he's out for the year. He's going to be available in the later rounds, and that guy, to me, I know people agree, but to me, that guy is a franchise type of quarterback. But listen, you have, you're looking at the Seahawks, the Lions, and the Texans. They're at 5, 6, 7 in the draft order. You can't tell me, maybe the Lions and the Texans are going to draft a quarterback with their pick. Outside of that, maybe the Giants can strike a deal with one of those teams and trade up. I know for a fact Joe Shane wants his quarterback this year. That was always the plan, to ride out Daniel Jones for 1 year and then see what you can do. Now, their own pick, they're not going to be able to do it with their own pick.
Well,
that's clear.
Yeah, but who is 10 slots? Where do you think the Giants are really going to finish in the draft? If you had to predict. Let's say we're an 8-win team, where would we pick?
We're going to be like 15, 16.
Okay, so what teams are ahead of the Giants? What do you think is going to be ahead of the Giants? 15 picks from there.
A lot of quarterbacks are probably going to be taken.
That's my point. Yeah. So you're in a position where you're probably either going to keep Jones, or you're probably going to start Taylor, or you're going to be signing a free agent quarterback. So that's unfortunately, by them winning that many games, it took them out. Unless they trade up, the problem is I don't think anybody's trading back with the Giants. Unfortunately.
Honestly, if it was up to me, I like the idea that Eric had going on with the Hendon Hooker. They say if you feel like your franchise quarterback is on the board, you take him. But I also feel like with that early first-round pick, if we aren't able to trade up, I feel like our run defense is something that does need a lot of work as well. Because I feel like every game we do play, like, teams are running all over us. So I feel like maybe we go for, I don't know, a D lineman maybe. Or not even a D lineman. I say our linebacker core needs some work with Jalen Smith and Tate Crowder. Maybe we get a young guy in there who's a really great linebacker, get him some reps. So that's why I would say we use it if we do decide to go that Hendon Hooker route and draft him in the later rounds because of this ACL injury. I feel like our run defense is something that I would love to improve.
All right, I gotta go, guys. Thanks so much. Have a great show.
All right, Antonio, thank you for the call.
Bye.
Yeah, I think a linebacker is somewhere y'all can definitely use some help. And being where y'all probably would pick, I see y'all maybe picking somebody like Noah Sewell or something like that.
Oregon, okay.
We definitely need receivers help for sure. No matter who our quarterback is, we need receivers. So it's especially now with the Robinson injury. I mean, we were going to need receivers anyway, but we definitely need 3 max. I mean, let's be honest, they're probably signing a wide receiver for sure. Definitely drafting 1 or 2 of them. Linebackers for sure. They could probably even use help in corner.
Oh, they definitely need help in corner.
Yeah, they definitely do. I mean, there's so many holes in this team where I'm not sold that they're going to take a quarterback this draft. I'm not sold because they have so many holes.
Wait, Ross, quick question. So you keep mentioning the receiver group. Obviously, we know Sterling Shepard, ACL, is gone.
He's gone.
So you think like we don't even ask for a pay cut and we just get him out of there, or you think we ask for that pay cut, see if he's willing to take some more money off his salary and we keep him, or do you think he should just completely get up out the organization?
I think they're going to move on from Shepard for sure. I think they tried to restructure, but unless Shepard asks for a little bit less money, which it doesn't surprise me, maybe unless that happens, he's probably gone. Golly's going to get cut.
Yeah.
The guy that I actually thought they might even go after, or they still could, Juju Smith-Schuster. And the reason why I'm saying that is because although he didn't coach him, Mike Kafka came from the Chiefs. Juju Smith-Schuster is on the Chiefs. Mm-hmm. And they're trying to run very similar things with the Giants, what they did with the Chiefs. So I could see maybe that possibly happening where Smith-Schuster can come to the Giants. That's one option. The guy that I was also thinking about, although Jacksonville is not going to do this, was Calvin Ridley, although that's off the books and board now because Dable knew him pretty well in Alabama. So there's another one. But there's not a lot of great receiving options out there. So you're either going to have to make a trade, you're going to have to sign a cheap one, or you're going to have to do the ultimate reality of probably drafting one. Mm-hmm. So they have a lot of options.
It's going to be interesting to see how the rest of the Giants season plays out. They have 5 divisional games left. So
yeah, it's not going well.
I remember saying, like, you're going to have to win both these games after the bye week, after they lose to Seattle. In Seattle, you're going to have to beat both the Texans and the Lions to really, like, solidify your place in the playoffs. And they lost this game to Detroit, who all of a sudden is in the playoff picture, and they're going to activate Jamison Williams this week.
That's actually great for the Lions.
They're going to make a real playoff push at it, that's for sure. We'll see what happens there. And I brought up the MetLife turf, so we're looking at some injuries here. Obviously, Wan'Dale Robinson goes down yesterday. Sterling Shepard earlier this season. Blake Martinez, Jabril Peppers in 2021. And even some stars that have played the Jets on MetLife, in MetLife Stadium. Guys like Nick Bosa and guys like Solomon Thomas and the 49ers. Like, it's like we said, they're going to go to artificial grass finally, and next year, 2023, but it might be too late with all the injuries we've seen for the New York Giants. It's kind of derailed their season.
Yeah,
so
some of these injuries, I mean, a lot of people always say it's like the strength coach. A lot of people say it's always the trainers, but there's certain injuries like you can't really do anything about. I mean, torn ACLs, there's certain torn meniscus, stuff like that. Like those are just injuries like you really can't do much about other than just even. It's funny. Joe Shane even said it before the season started. It was like, certain injuries we could try to take care of, but there's certain injuries where, even he admitted there's really not much they can do about it. So the fact that it's coming out of his mouth, I mean, that's all you need to really know. These guys are injury prone. That's really what it is. A lot of these guys are injury prone players. I mean, Shepard's always hurt. You can look at, Robinson didn't really have any injury history. Galladay's gotten hurt a few times, even with Detroit. And Barkley gets hurt a lot, so it's some of it's injury prone, some of it's bad luck, but a lot of it's the turf too. It plays a factor, except McKinney. McKinney was just being stupid.
Yeah, sad vibes in New York football today. Just everything was going so well, and then yesterday hits, and then we're looking at doomsday for both the Jets and the Giants again. They both might finish last place in the division. That actually might happen.
Oh, it could.
With how great the season started. That's kind of crazy to think about. It's bad luck because of how good both their divisions have been, but we'll see what happens. We will see what happens. Let me remind everybody quickly that you are listening to WHPC Sports Talk on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. Is Joshua Umahi, joined by Eric Williams, Franz Compere, and Ross Levine. Eric, your team. We mentioned the Victory Monday for you earlier. Yeah, I think Victory Monday is selling it short for what the Cowboys. What's a word that's appropriate to use on FCC airwaves? They took the Vikings to the woodshed. Like, they took the Vikings out back, did whatever they wanted with them. Went back to whatever they were doing. Came back, ran it back, smacked them around some more. Came back a third time, and here's the knockout blow in the second half. Right at the second half started when the Cowboys were already up 23-3.
Going deep. Pollard has the catch, and no one will touch him again. Touchdown, Dallas. This starts. It's a perfect throw by Dak Prescott, and Pollard showing the juice and why he's been exceptional here.
Tony Romo on the call. I know he was loving that yesterday.
Of course he was. But there was certain calls he made. He was trying not to be biased. Like, I heard some things that he said even about the CeeDee Lamb catch where they made Brett Maher kick a 60-yard field goal again, and he nailed it again.
Can we talk about the referees in that situation? That was like, what
he already had kicked the field goal, and they said it was good. But then they're going to talk about, we got to replay this. He already kicked the field goal. So after they replayed it, CeeDee Lamb obviously caught it. I said, put the points on the board because he already made the field goal. He said, no, we're going to make him kick the football again. He kicks it again and makes it straight down the middle. Better than the first kick at that. Money Maher.
Everything went well for the Cowboys yesterday, and I don't know where to start with this team. This is just classic Cowboys discourse, and what I mean by that is they lose a disappointing game against the Packers last week, and not only are we talking about the Packers are back, they're going to go on a run. It's same old Cowboys, same old Cowboys. They were selling us dreams, and then they're going to lose to at the time 3-6 Packers team. Stephen A's on First Take. We know how this is going to go. Shannon Sharp on Undisputed. Skip, we know how this is going to go. Like that was the discourse before this game. You're going to an 8-1 Minnesota team, which sounds crazy to say right now.
Going to Minnesota.
In Minnesota. Thank you, Joe. In Minnesota, and they're 8-1. And you're coming off that game if you're a Cowboys fan. You're like, Dalvin Cook's going to run the ball, Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, all these guys. Like, what's going to happen? 3 points.
So
the defense stepped up.
So does this mean that Minnesota's living up to the fraud name? Last time I was on here, I said they weren't frauds, but then the Cowboys came out here and dog walked them.
France, I took it a step further. I said the Vikings were going to be in the Super Bowl after they beat the Buffalo Bills. In Buffalo, I was like, you know what? I was calling them frauds all season long. I've come around. This team's for real. You know, Kirk Cousins may not be the flashiest quarterback, but he'll get it done when it really matters. Well, yesterday really mattered if you're a Vikings fan. If you're the Vikings as a whole.
Yeah.
Like, the Eagles, they almost lost. So you're playing that game like we don't know what's wrong with Philadelphia. They lost their first game, and then they're losing to Indianapolis. Now they came back and won, but the 1 seed might be there for the taking. And you come out and score 3 points, and you give up 40. That's like in one of, not even one of, the weirdest NFL season I can remember. That takes the cake. The Vikings are 8-2 now for a negative 2 point differential. How? Like, that doesn't make sense.
You know what? They lost a lot of close games last year, and they're finally winning those games this year. But you can see this team is just not much different from the one last year.
Yeah, and it was all great vibes. Like we said, it was great vibes for New York football. It was great vibes in Minnesota before yesterday.
So for the Cowboys, obviously they came out here and they handled business. Like, they did more than what everybody expected them to do. Like, is it a statement game because they smacked them 43, or is it like discredited because now we're like, okay, Minnesota isn't like what we expected them to be? How does that make you feel as a Dallas fan?
We really don't even know, because we know what Minnesota is. I just feel like, that was a game that we had to win.
Okay.
They came out and they exceeded expectations. But the thing is, I think the real game for us is against Philly. They got to come to us too. That's the real game. If we can beat Philly, that's when I'll say, okay, you hear me say it for the first time this season. Like, I've like beat around the bush with it, but I'll say the Cowboys are Super Bowl contenders if they beat Philly.
Yeah.
I'll finally say it. I've beat around the bush, but I'll finally say it.
Can't be mad at that.
They've had, I mean, you heard Michael Irvin, obviously he's going to say it on First Take this morning. You had other guys say it. I think if you smack, we can debate whether the Vikings are fraudulent, whatever, but if you go into a 8-1 team's house and you beat them 40-3, you just got to look at how well Dak Prescott played. This two-man combo with Zeke and Pollard, and especially Pollard, he's such a weapon. I don't even like the Cowboys, but I'm gassing them up because I'm just so impressed by what I saw yesterday. It was just from start to finish a beatdown, and you're wondering, you're looking in the NFC, and I wasn't high on the Cowboys because I said the Vikings. Of all the teams, Eagles, Vikings, Cowboys, Giants were 7-2. The 49ers, of all the teams in that little mix, I had the Vikings. I'd put money on the Vikings to make it to the Super Bowl. Now, I guess it's 2 + 2 = 4. Like, I got to go with the Cowboys now, but like Eric said, their upcoming schedule, they play the Giants Thanksgiving, Colts, Texans, Jaguars, and then that should be 3 wins.
Should be,
but we never know with Dallas. We just never know. But Eagles, Cowboys, Christmas Eve, America's Game of the Week on Fox. That's the game. That's the game. That's the third to last week of the season. That's the game we're going to be looking at in the NFC. Like, whoever wins this game is going to leave an impression. For real. So
I think it's also the game after that, which I believe we play Tennessee.
Yeah, in Tennessee. And then you finish up with the Commanders the last week of the season, who very well might be in the playoff picture. So
yeah, Commanders are going to play tough, and we go to Washington, so that's definitely going to be a tough game, especially if they're fighting for a playoff spot.
How different do we think this season would be if Heineke was the starter off rip? You think he could have withheld this kind of play for a 17-game season?
Front time. I said this last week. So with Carson Wentz, like, he might be a better quarterback, like, pound for pound, but we just talk about Zach Wilson not being a leader. But this team rallies around Taylor Heineke. I mean, we saw it last year, and we're seeing it this year. He might be the lesser quarterback, but we see the Commanders players on the plane putting chains on Heineke. Like, you're our guy. Like, so they rally around him in a different way. Yeah. So I think they're 6-5 right now. I give them one more win.
You're just seeing that the guys that are leading quarterbacks, they win with those guys. I mean, let's be honest. Even with Carson Wentz, they're not doing that. Like, they're not wrapping a a chain around that guy. They're not. I mean, come on. They're not. I mean, let's be honest. They're not doing that stuff like they're doing with Heineke.
That's what he should do. Heineke's coming in with a chip on his shoulder and he's balling. Shocking everybody.
You know, he's really been doing that ever since his first game with the Commanders when they played against the Buccaneers in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Even like from that game, you just seen the energy was very different, and that game was so close. The Commanders could have won that game. That's how close it was.
And it's crazy. The Buccaneers went on to win the Super Bowl, so
yeah.
The Commanders were right there. I remember watching that game, and they're going to be tough to finish out. And we're talking about contenders across the NFL right now, so going to run through some notable scores from yesterday. So, like I said, the Eagles beat the Colts 17-16. Last-minute touchdown by Jalen Hurts. Had a cute little moment with the mascot. The Commanders, like we said, they won 23-10 over Houston. My New Orleans Saints, the defending champion Rams are cooked. The Saints got it done. Jameis, I feel bad for Jameis, though, because he was crying about, I hate to say crying, but he was crying in the media about, you know, you're not supposed to lose your job due to injury, and Andy Dalton puts up a perfect passer rating the very next game. So Saints are 4-7. We'll see what happens. Probably nothing's going to happen, but I got to have hope.
How far are you out of the division?
The Buccaneers are 5-5, so we're 1.5 games out. We have one more game against Tampa. Listen, we don't have a first-round pick, so I got to root for this team to win the division. We'll see what happens.
What's your schedule?
Let me look at the Saints' schedule.
Atlanta is what?
They're 5-6, so they're actually ahead of us in the standings. For the Saints, it's not looking too easy. They play at San Francisco next week. They play at Tampa on Monday night the week after. Then it goes Falcons at home, at Cleveland, at Philly, and they finish up hosting Carolina, which should be a win. So I don't know.
I see 3 wins for you.
3 wins gets us to 7.
I mean, what else do you want me to say? 4?
No, I actually agree with you, but we don't know if Tampa Tom and the Giselle stuff and Antonio Brown and all this whatever is going on, jiu-jitsu and whatever. Like, we don't know what's going to happen with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, so we'll keep an eye on the NFC South. The Raiders, in a game that really didn't matter, but they got it done against the Broncos, 22-16. The Daniel Hackett, he's going to be one and done. Like, that's definitely going to be the case.
I'm wondering who they would hire if they moved on from him.
I don't know, but we all know this guy's going to still be there.
It's dangerously good.
Be careful, though.
Spicy.
They should hire Brian Flores.
I think that'd be a good move, actually. That'd be a good look for them.
It would.
Yeah. They need a leader in there because Nathaniel Hackett isn't it.
The play calling did look better yesterday, because Hackett, he wasn't calling the plays.
Yeah, he stepped down and let I forget the guy's name, but he let his second in command take over the play calling, and they scored a touchdown on the first drive. So you're like, okay, look at the Broncos, but Devontae Adams put Patrick Surtain to sleep, yelling, "He's not ready yet. He's not ready yet." That was a nasty move he put on Surtain.
God, Surtain was like in the middle of the field while Adams is like in the corner of the end zone. I'm like, wow.
At the snap of a finger, he was like 20 yards away from him. It was crazy.
I feel bad for Adams though. Raiders organization baited him heavy.
They sold him dreams for real.
Heavy.
The Bengals beat the Steelers 37-30. The Ravens kept pace. They beat the Panthers 13-3. And the big game on Sunday night, the Chiefs, the Chargers. Where do we start with the Chargers? Because they almost they fake beat the Chiefs every year.
You know what? I think they'll make the playoffs this year.
You think so?
Mike Williams and Keenan Allen back, that's big for them. Even though they can never really stay healthy, if they can stay healthy in this last stretch of the season, I think it's big for them, and I think they can make a low run and make the playoffs.
What games do they have coming up?
That's a good question, though.
While you look that up, I'm going to pull up the AFC playoff picture. So right now, the Chargers they're actually behind the Jets. They're the 9th seed. The Jets are the 8th seed. So ahead of them, we got the 1 seed Chiefs, the 2nd seed Dolphins, which is shout out Tua, the 3 seed Titans somehow, the 4 seed Ravens, the 5 seed Bills, the 6 seed Patriots, who again had that big win over the Jets, and the 7 seed Bengals. So I guess I'm going to look at
Chargers are 5-5.
They're 5-5, yeah.
So they play the Cardinals, the Raiders, Dolphins, Titans, Colts, Rams, and Broncos.
That's an easy schedule.
I would say so.
The last 3 games are easy.
I think the team to drop out would be the Patriots. I think the Bengals are going to make it. I think the Ravens are going to make it. The Bills, I think, are going to make it, obviously.
Yeah.
The Ravens, I just said them. Titans, Dolphins, Chiefs. I think if it's a team they're going to catch, it's going to have to be the Patriots.
They can very well finish the season 10-7. I feel like they'll lose to the Dolphins and Titans.
Yeah.
And
maybe not the Titans.
Right. Yeah, well, the Chargers, I like to clown them, but they did play really well. Mike Williams came back for 2 drives, did what he could. Keenan Allen played well. And Joshua Palmer, he's back in his role as the third wide receiver, and he played big. But the Chiefs, they're just the big dog in that AFC West. But I agree with Eric. I think the Chargers will make it as a wild card. I think the Patriots, Mac Jones, they beat the Jets, but we know how they own the Jets. I don't see them having enough to make it to the playoffs, but we'll see. Chargers do trail them by 1 game. And tonight's game. Let's get some Monday night previews. We got the Niners, 10-point favorites against the Cardinals in Mexico. So the Cardinals coming in at 4-6, Niners at 5-4. I believe they're the 7th seed in the NFC right now. How do we see this game going?
I don't think Kyler Murray's playing.
He's going to miss another game.
Yeah, he's out again. I think Colt McCoy is starting.
Yeah.
Colt McCoy. I mean, I like the way Colt McCoy played last week.
Yeah.
But I think the Niners are ready to hit their stride. I think
so as well.
Yeah.
They have McCaffrey, Jimmy G, back fully with the offense, and DeMeco Ryans. Watch out for that guy as a potential head coaching candidate for a lot of spots because they had Robert Saleh leave, right? And he's a Jets coach, but this guy steps right in, goes to Lambeau, wins that game, shuts down Aaron Rodgers. If it wasn't for a dropped interception and a lot of luck for the Rams, they probably go to the Super Bowl. They might win the Super Bowl. So DeMeco Ryans, I think, it might not be pretty for Colt McCoy tonight. That's all I'll say. I think we're all on the 49ers to win that game?
Yeah.
All right, all right, winding down on the Monday show, a couple minutes left. I'm going to get to some NBA quickly. So the Nets, they took down the Grizzlies last night. Ben Simmons is playing a lot better. Let me see if I can pull up his stats over the last couple of games. And this is coming from me, the number one Ben Simmons hater.
But remember what I was saying when I grew that, I felt like I had a relationship with Ben when he was on that JJ Redick podcast. I told you I have faith in Ben, but he was disappointing me. But Portland, he did his thing, 15, 13, and a couple assists, almost had a triple-double. He did his thing. And then last game he was balling too. I'm excited to see what Ben can just be consistent. We know you have it in you. It's just all about being consistent. Keep your head out the media and just get to work. It's in him there.
It's in him. That's the most frustrating thing.
He's got to bring out the dog in him.
And here are his last 3 games, like you said, Franz. So he's averaging 16 points a game, 8.7 rebounds. He's finally getting on the boards. 5 assists. Here's the thing, 85% field goal percentage. Now, he's not taking a lot of shots, but you're in close. I don't want to see you if you're Ben Simmons airballing layups. There's no excuse. You're 6'10", 240. You're LeBron size. I want to see you be a bully in the paint, and he's not all the way there, but he's kind of there. He's getting there, and perfect timing because he's got a date with the Philadelphia fans tomorrow.
And I think it's very possible for him to keep putting up these numbers because you mentioned you want to see him play that bully ball, play what his size is, And for an elite passer like him, he knows how to run the floor and stuff. So creating those backdoor cuts or he had that alley-oop in Portland, he should know, he should be a step ahead of everybody else because he's so good at passing the ball. He should know how to get himself open. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely, and he has a role to play. He's kind of the Nets' Draymond Green.
Yeah.
Kyrie's back, so we'll see him more and more as the season goes on finally. Lastly, my Knicks, what can you say? They lost to the Suns yesterday. It's not just that they lost, the Suns are better, but it's the way they lost.
Yeah.
It's the way they're losing these games. And Julius Randle played great 3 games ago. All of a sudden, he's not showing effort on defense. R.J. Barrett's still playing like a burger.
I don't know how you can, a guy like Julius Randle, I don't know how you could really be consistently inconsistent.
Crazy. It's really no excuse.
It really.
Yeah,
really.
When I watch Barrett play, and he's still a young player, I get it, but I'm kind of done with him too. He just can't. I mean, he can't make a shot. He really can, and they put all the eggs in his basket, and that might get everybody fired.
Yeah, and if you ask me before we close, there needs to be some firings and some benchings and some trades in in the Madison Square Garden coming soon. But
honestly,
we'll see. We'll talk more basketball and general sports tomorrow. We'll be back at 4 p.m. for this edition of Sports Talk. You can listen to our show every weekday at 4, as well as Monday morning at 9 and Tuesday night at 11. We'll see you at any of those times, but for now, for Eric Williams, Franz Compere, and Ross Levine, I'm Joshua Umahi on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.